If you looked at Jakarta in the late 1990s, you saw a massive city in the middle of explosive urban development. But with that rapid growth came a severe, inescapable consequence. The city was choking under a thick, toxic blanket of gray smog. When pressed to address this crisis, local policymakers often deflected. They argued that in a developing nation, citizens had immediate economic worries and simply didn't care about environmental issues like air quality. Debunking that claim was a unique economic challenge because clean air isn't a commodity you can buy in a store. There is no traditional market to prove that a public demand actually exists. This left economists searching for an alternative, objective way to measure the invisible value of these ecosystem services. To prove the politicians wrong, researchers realized they had to bypass public opinion polls entirely. They needed to find hard financial data hiding in the last place anyone expected, the local real estate market. They utilized an approach called the hedonic pricing method. This operates on a simple rule. In a highly competitive housing market, the final price of a property reflects every possible characteristic of that home. Look at this diagram breaking down a home's total value. The vast majority of a house's price is determined by obvious physical metrics: the number of rooms, the construction materials used, and how close the property is to the city center. By analyzing thousands of property sales, economists use regression analysis to mathematically control for all of these physical traits. But once they account for the bricks and mortar, there is almost always an unexplained leftover gap in the home's total value. That empty gap is filled by the surrounding environment. It accounts for the invisible factors surrounding the home, which could be a price bump for being near a scenic park or a steep drop in value due to heavy pollution. By stripping away the monetary value of the physical structure, economists can effectively isolate that leftover gap and put a literal dollar amount on the air outside the window. A group of researchers from the Australian National University chose Jakarta as the ultimate testing ground to mathematically measure the local population's tolerance for pollution. They gathered their first critical piece of evidence from the Indonesian Family Life Survey. This provided concrete records on local property values, along with highly specific structural traits like roof materials and water availability. Next, they pulled an independent environmental study from the Asian Development Bank, which mapped the exact concentrations of 6 distinct airborne pollutants across those same city districts. Now, this economic method does have one fascinating caveat. It only registers a price drop if the local population actually perceives the pollution. If a threat is completely invisible or unknown, the market won't react. If the researchers could find a negative correlation between these two separate datasets, it would prove that the citizens were actively noticing the toxic air and voting with their wallets to avoid it. This scatter plot illustrates exactly what happened when the datasets were merged. As pollution concentration increases on the horizontal axis, property values decrease on the vertical axis. Out of the 6 pollutants tracked, 5 showed a definitive negative correlation with home prices. The data was precise enough to isolate a single chemical compound, sulfur dioxide, to measure its specific financial impact. The math revealed that for every single microgram of sulfur dioxide per cubic meter of air, local housing prices dropped by exactly $28. That exact $28 figure destroyed the official political excuse. It proves that despite lower average incomes, the people of Jakarta cared deeply about environmental quality and were actively devaluing polluted neighborhoods. Economists call this a revealed preference. By analyzing how people spend money, data shows the human desire for a healthy environment transcends national wealth. While ecosystem services may never have a barcode printed on them, their profound financial value is hiding in plain sight, permanently recorded into the deeds of our homes.